Okay, let's have a look at some techniques we can use for compositing light painting imagery. So for example, I've got a set of images here. Now the third one is just a long exposure image to capture the sky detail. And then the first two are where I've run in down the train track with a light panel to create a light painting effect. Now then, a really useful way of getting all of these images into one document quickly is to use the New Stack feature. So if I go to File and New Stack and then select my images, click Open, uncheck Align Images and click OK, we'll see they're put into a live stack group. We don't want to keep them like this, so we can go to Arrange and Ungroup. Okay, and there we go, we've got them as individual layers. So what we're going to do first is get the top layer here, which has the sky detail, and drag it to the bottom of the layer stack. And then with these two light painting images, what we're going to do is mask in areas selectively. So I'm going to hide the top one and work on this one for now. And what I'll do is add a mask layer to it. I want to select the mask layer and then go to Layer and Invert. Okay, so what we need to do now is with the paintbrush tool, I'll just take the hardness down and use a fairly big brush width, say around 500 pixels, or maybe even larger actually. Let's go to about 2000 pixels. And then across on the color panel, we want to make sure our active color is set to white. So as we hover over the image, we can preview the areas that we're about to paint in or mask in, and then I just simply click drag to add those areas back in to the layer mask. Okay, then we can select the topmost layer, turn it back on, add a mask layer and do the same procedure. So selecting the mask, we go to Layer, Invert, and then we simply paint areas back into that mask, like so. Okay, so before we go any further, what we might want to do, this is kind of an optional step, but it's just an idea, is we might want to tonally match the light painting areas with the background sky image. You'll notice these tend to be a bit lower in contrast. There's more flare going on because the lens has had a lot more light coming into it from different angles. And to compensate for this, what we can do is add a brightness and contrast adjustment. Then we can just child layer it into each of these pixel layers. So you see here, I just click dragged it in and hovered over until I got that vertical blue column. Then release the mouse button, and that means this adjustment is then restricted to this layer. So you'll see here what I can do is just increase the contrast slightly and I get a better match with the surrounding area. Then I'll do the same for this layer. So once again, Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Brightness Contrast Adjustment. Child layer it to that layer this time. And once again drag contrast up, like so. Okay, so at this point then, in terms of workflow, what we can do is merge all of these layers so far to a composite pixel layer. And to do this, we go to Layer and Merge Visible. Okay, so then we can go ahead and just hide all of these layers underneath, and we're now just working on one composite layer. So now that we've got our merged pixel layer, we can address an issue that's bothering me, which is this horizon line here. Now the camera was locked off and level on a tripod, and it seems this is just the natural curvature of the background. But if we wanted to address this, we could do so by going to Filters, Distort, Deform. And what I'll do is click to add a node here, and click over here to add a node. And then I'll click drag this node up, like so. But because at this point we've only added two nodes, effectively what we're doing is rotating the image around this point. So we've got transparent areas showing through here. And what we can do is click in various areas to add additional nodes that will then pin those areas back down, meaning we can get rid of that transparent space, like so. There we go. So I'm much happier with that, and I'll go ahead and click apply. So now we've done all that, it's finally time to tackle the tones. Now, I'm not a big fan of this garish looking orangey sky here, so with the selection brush tool, I'll just use a larger width, and I'll just click drag across all of this area to select the sky and the trees. It doesn't really matter that we've got the trees in this selection as well as the sky, as you're about to find out, because what I'll do is add an HSL adjustment, and that will mask the adjustment to just that selected area. So all I'll do is take the saturation down, like so. Okay, so I'll just go to select and deselect. So just one of the approaches we could take to tackle tones like this is, for example, to go to New Adjustment Layer and then add a Channel Mixer adjustment. And we can switch across to the Lab Color Model and across on B Opponent here. What I'll do is create a mix 50-50 between A and B Opponent on the B Opponent channel. And this produces a nice reddish, slightly desaturated look to the image. So on top of that, for further control over the tones, I might add, say, a selective color adjustment. And across on neutrals here, I might move cyan up slightly and yellow down. Then across on whites, I might just bump yellow up, like so. And that results in quite a stylized look. So there we go. And as a final tonal round off, we could just add a brightness and contrast adjustment and then just kind of tweak it to taste, really. We might find we prefer a washed out look or perhaps slightly contrastier look. Really, it's up to you to use your eye and determine what you think works best. So there we go. I hope that was just a quick, helpful rundown on light painting compositing. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the other video tutorials.